What's up, friend? Hey, I am Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast, where I talk about how to grow your video business without the burnout, without burning out. I grew up, the high school that I went to, there were burnouts. That's how old I am. Anyway, so we're talking about how not to burn out in your business. We cover topics on how to get more clients, how to be more productive without sacrificing your creativity, and how to get paid what you're worth. If that sounds like you, you're in the right place. I'm really excited about this episode. I'm talking about sales. I've entitled this episode, Stop Selling, Start Guiding. If you get it, you can stop, you can save yourself 30 or 40 minutes and go do something else more productive. Part of where this excitement around this topic and this passion is from one of my favorite books called Building a Story Brand, from one of my favorite authors whose name is Donald Miller, who has one of my favorite podcasts, Building Story Brand, Marketing Made Simple. Maybe that's another podcast that he has. I don't know, but if you don't follow Donald Miller, go do it. Wait until the end of this episode. But the way that he presents how to market yourself is so in line with what has come so naturally for me. And it's this idea that you don't have to sell to be successful. To be successful. I'm going to talk about the 3 mistakes that we make when it comes to sales. And then I'm going to share 3 ways on how you can guide your clients and how it's just way more fulfilling, how you probably will do a lot more of the kind of work that you want to be doing, and how you're going to actually make a lot more money doing it this way versus the other way. Most people will resonate and align with this idea of like, I don't want to sell, but guiding somebody? I think I could do that. So shout out to Donald Miller for spelling this out so well in his book, Building a Story Brand. But here you're going to get not really the Cliff's Note versions, but we're in alignment, okay? Just to be totally honest, I was taking notes on what to share today, and I couldn't stop. So I was like, at one point, I'm like, okay, this can't be a 2-hour long episode. So let's just calm down, Ryan, and let's go with 3 mistakes when it comes to sales. Number 1, we think that we have to sell to grow our business. When I was in college, I was thinking about people were like, oh, what do you want to do? And I knew what I didn't want to do. And what I didn't want to do was go into sales, because what my understanding of sales is just not in alignment with the kind of person that I am. When I started doing video more than 17 years ago, I started my business. I was like, man, I've got to do this. This is amazing. This is the coolest thing ever. To this day, I have conversations with people where I talk about, I'll ask them about their business and, are they using video, and all with the intent not to get them to hire me, but knowing how fast you can build trust with your clients, how you can have a sales machine that's working 24/7 for you in the background, you not doing anything because you've got good, helpful sales videos. How, if you want people to really understand the guts, the heartbeat, the soul of your business, if you have a brand story that says, here's our why, this is why we're in business, you can work more with the right clients. I am so passionate about video that there's no selling. I mean, I'm selling people on the idea, because I'm so passionate that they should have video. Not that they should hire us, because they could do their own video. I don't care. But to step into that for people who haven't, and for people who have, to make sure that you're doing the right kind of video. So for me and for you, I haven't had a conversation with a video business owner, with a producer that doesn't love this work so much that it doesn't feel like selling. If anything, we feel like we're helping people by saying you should be doing video. So to feel like you have to sell, I think is a mistake. I just don't think it's true. Number two, we feel like we have to convince people why they should hire us. We feel like, we have to have really slick marketing. We feel like we have to, because we've seen all the really good salespeople. We've seen the shows and we're just like, wow, they know how to sell. And at the end of the day, my pushback against it, it's like, no, don't try to, figure out how to close somebody when you got them on a call. If you can be helpful and not have to convince somebody that they should hire, why they should hire you over your competition, but just say like, here's who we are. This is how we help people. This is like, that approach is more approachable. The old school like sales approach, that just doesn't work. It might work with people that are really old school, but I would say well, as I get to number 3 here, we have a scarcity mindset. There are so many opportunities out there for business for you to be able to work with people that value a guiding approach versus like, tell me why I should hire you, convince me, sell me. Like, no, thank you. So having a scarcity mindset is I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make. And I've struggled with this. I struggled with this for a long time. And I'm so glad that I've been able to really like climb that mountain of scarcity and be on the other side of that. And I realized for me, like part of my own story of like having a scarcity mindset comes from my parents, whose parents grew up in the Depression and they were afraid, right? Because they experienced what it was like to have absolutely nothing. And that thinking kind of gets passed down to the next generation. And then there are parts of that get passed down to me. And so, that's how I grew up thinking like, oh man, like I got to look out for number one. I remember my dad telling me that, you got to look out for number one. And that was a mantra for a long time. And I'm so glad. I mean, I loved my dad, although we had plenty of, moments, especially growing up, where we didn't get along so well. And I don't blame my dad. This isn't, this also is not a counseling session for me. But I don't blame my dad for teaching me the way that he did, because that's how he was raised. That's what he was taught. And he did the best that he could. And my grandparents, they did the best that they could. Could they have done better? Sure. Did they know how? It's doing this thing called life. It is hard, right? As long as you're trying your best and doing your best and trying to surround yourself with the right kind of people that are going to, support you and be for you and help you do your best. Like that's you're headed in the right direction. So when I started my business, this idea of like competition, like, okay, who are my competitors? I got to know what they're doing. I got to know what their website looks like. I need to know what their demo reel looks like. I need to know how they're selling. Oh, do they have packages? What does their pricing start at? And then somebody calls me and they're like, oh, you're talking to our competitor, aren't you? Because you're asking me questions like things that I've seen on their website. And so now I'm competing for this business. And I think competition it can be fine and healthy and good. And I love competition. I love sports. I love all of that stuff. But if we changed our mind and said, instead of competition, what about community? What if we said, hey, who are the other filmmakers and videographers in my area? And what would it look like to like befriend them and ask them questions like, what's going well in your business? What are you struggling with? What are you frustrated with? Because chances are I'm probably struggling and frustrated with some of the same things. I did this long ago when I first started my business. I joined it was called the Michigan Independent Video Association, and it was 40 or 50 people. We would meet once a month and we would talk shop, and it was awesome. And I think there was a little bit of like scarcity mindset, but for the majority, people said like, we value this community. And when I was brand new, somebody might've been booked for an event and they said, hey, call Ryan. I got so much work from this community. It blew my mind. And I was able to pass work along to this community because I was booked. And in doing that, like, not only when I'm talking to a client and telling them like, oh, hey, sorry, we can't help you out that date, but let me, I've got 2 or 3 other guys that I highly recommend, and let me make an introduction for you. Would that be okay? And people are blown away at that stuff. That when you can share like that, you don't have a scarcity mindset. When other people can see that and you value trying to create value instead of just not being helpful, that's a pretty awesome thing to be able to offer. Inside of the scarcity mindset, I think we're afraid that we're gonna get put out of business. So we're afraid, and when we're afraid, an outcome of fear in having a business usually means that you get more aggressive on your pricing, or you just add like lots of stuff that you're going to offer. And at the end of the day, it doesn't help your bottom line. Fear doesn't help your bottom line. You should put that on a poster or a t-shirt, a bumper sticker. New businesses are being created every single day. So if you're maybe you live in a small town and you're like, there's just not enough work around here, so I really got to fight for it. Yes, maybe there's not a lot of work, but guess what? Doing video, you don't have to just focus on your community. There are so many ways to create videos for people that are not close in proximity to you. And also know that maybe your competitor has the big client from your town or whatever. You have to remember that every day businesses are being created. Every day, big businesses are being created. Every day, small businesses are becoming bigger businesses. So the opportunity to find a new client, the opportunities are endless, along with the popularity of video and its importance in marketing. It's at an all-time high. Granted, people are shooting TikTok videos on their phone and somehow using that to market their business. They're making reels and they're creating strategies to do this stuff on their own. And there is a segment, there are a lot of people that do that. But the majority of businesses don't have the time to create their own video. They don't have the time to create marketing stuff. That's why they hire a marketing team, communications specialist, or they outsource, they hire an agency. So if you're afraid that, oh man, like videos just becoming so popular, you've got a 4K, camera in your pocket that you walk around with, it's what I'm doing just really isn't worth it anymore. It's not worth it if you don't value it. And then you also have to remember that if you're just showing up and filming for people, and you literally are doing something that they could do themselves, then you have to think about, can you think about this differently? Can you approach this differently? Can you offer any kind of strategy? So if somebody says, hey, I'm going to do a selfie video, maybe say what is this video for? And is a selfie video, is that the best way to, represent this? Did you know that your front-facing camera isn't as high quality as the back-facing camera, and it's kind of hard to shoot yourself with a back-facing camera, but it would be really nice if your videos were filmed with the really nice camera because the lighting looks better, your skin looks softer. I mean, that's a very basic reason why somebody should consider hiring somebody else, is okay, well, front-facing versus back-facing. But there's so much more. If you think of yourself as a producer or as a storyteller, most fill in the blank niches, most people that you would want to work with, their specialty is their specialty. It's not video. And so they need somebody to come alongside them and help them. So think of yourself differently. Think about, instead of scarcity, think about the abundance, the opportunities for new clients that need your help, that they don't just need you, being a tripod and oh yeah, we've got this really expensive camera, or we've got these really expensive microphones, but hey, we're going to help you tell a great story. And here's how we do this. So let me move into guide because I'm getting ahead of ourselves. I'm getting ahead of myself. So those are the 3 big mistakes. We think that we have to sell to grow our business. We feel like we have to convince people why they should hire us. And we have a scarcity mindset. Stop selling, start guiding. Back when I started my video company, stock footage, it used to be the worst. It was terrible quality, super cheesy shots, and really small selection, and it was really expensive. That is not the case with Storyblocks. They offer affordable subscription plans to their enormous library of stock footage, and with their unlimited access plan, you get access to the whole library, including HD and 4K footage. They've got After Effects and Premiere Pro templates, music, images, sound effects, and more. Seriously, there is tons. There have been so many projects where our team just needed one extra shot. Maybe the day after the shoot, the client was like, hey, this would have been a great thing to get. And we're like, ah. Or in post-production, they're like, hey, it'd be a really cool shot? We've saved our clients and ourselves a ton of money and headaches and heartaches. And we've saved a couple of projects that just needed that one special shot with our Storyblocks subscription. Head over to storyblocks.com/Studio Sherpas to help you create more video with their affordable subscriptions. So here are 3 ways on how you can start guiding. When you think of your favorite movie, there's always a guide, right? There's a hero, there's the enemy, the person that's against the hero, and then the hero, there's usually always a guide. There's somebody helping the hero, and then the hero doesn't want to listen to the guide, thinks they can do it on their own, and then they fail and they come back to the guide, and the guide helps them. Star Wars. You've got Obi-Wan, you've got Yoda, Karate Kid, you've got Mr. Miyagi. I mean, who's cooler than Mr. Miyagi? If you can be the Mr. Miyagi or Mrs. Miyagi, even though she died, before a long time ago. Remember, Mr. Miyagi was crying and stuff. So, okay, I digress. If you can be the guide for your clients, if you can come alongside them, one way to do that, one way to be the guide for them is to ask good questions. People love being asked questions. People love talking about themselves. But if you ask good questions with really trying to figure out what is it that they need? Why do they need this? You can really start narrowing the focus of should you even be helping this person? Is this a good fit client for you? But you're going to want to have a plan when you're talking to people for how you're going to lead that conversation. You want to be able to ask questions to understand their struggles, their frustrations, their goals. So ask good questions. A good guide will ask good questions. When you're asking questions, the people that you're talking to, the potential clients, they're going to feel like you're hearing them. They're going to feel like you care. They're going to feel like more than just giving them a quote and telling them how much the video is going to cost, you're maybe even presenting things that they haven't even thought about. So now you become a lot more valuable than just somebody that can hold a camera, that can hold their iPhone and shoot a quick little video. They're like, oh, you're bringing something much more than just a camera. You're bringing your brain, and you are the video professional. You know a lot more about this than I do because I haven't even thought about these questions. Wow. So you want to ask good questions. Number 2, how to guide well. You want to share how you help your clients. In Donald Miller's approach, he talks about having a 3-step process. You put this process on your website. You can talk about this process when you have discovery calls with your clients. Talk about your process. Talk about you ask them a bunch of questions, and then you're going to share well, here's how we create the kinds of videos that we do, or here's how we help our clients with video. It's a 3-step process. We do dun, da, dun, da, dun. For us, when I'm fielding these calls, I try to separate the person I'm on the phone with and try to put them in one of 2 buckets. Hey, are you an agency client? You just need our cool cameras and you're going to direct the whole thing? Or do you need some guidance? Do you need some help? Do you need us to be a guide with you and kind of co-create this video because you don't do this full time, or you don't know how to interview people, or you obviously don't have the gear, but you need somebody that can actually bring their brain power into producing a good piece. Which one are you? Are you the agency that just wants our stuff, or do you kind of need some of our brain power? Most of our clients need our brain power. And that's how we position ourselves. And then at that point, we share, okay, well, here's our process. Our process is that if that's you, what we're going to do first is we're going to do a workshop. So we're not even going to create a proposal for you and tell you how much that video is going to cost. We're going to do a workshop with you based around kind of what you want to spend on this video. And we're going to make sure that your team is in alignment. We're going to make sure that you guys are on the same page. So we do this workshop. After the workshop, you get a blueprint. Once you have this blueprint, you're going to say like, yeah, these are the things that we talked about. This is the direction that we want to go in. And we're going to have a couple, 2, 3 options for you to select from that blueprint that we do. And 99.8%, I don't know the exact percentage, of clients that hire us to do this workshop, they pay us $2,500 to do this workshop, hire us to do the project. And so I tell them this whole thing. We don't just, we're not going to, if you've got this kind of a budget, we're going to do this workshop first. Then after you approve the blueprint, then we go into production, build out, all the due dates and delivery and blah, blah, blah. So having a 3-step process or a 5-step process, 3 is obviously easier and simpler. You get to the point quicker, instills confidence in them. Like, oh, okay, this is how they help their clients. Okay, like this is helpful. When I do that, when I started doing that, it was like, I just felt like the master. I was like, wow, like I feel smart explaining this to somebody because it makes sense. It makes sense to me. And then I can ask them, does that make sense? And they say yes or no. And then at that point I can further explain. So the other part in like how, as you share how you help your clients, highlight your client's success. The clients, if you've only had one client or if you've had, a bunch of clients, share the success that they've gotten. So when you're sharing, you're not saying like, we've won all these awards. Our team is this big. We've got this cool studio. We've been doing this work for 17 years. We shoot on 8K cameras. We do all of these things. And, we've been on cable. Our stuff we've gotten over 1 million views, blah, 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 blah. If you're talking about yourself, you're positioning yourself as the hero. You want to position the person you're talking to as the hero. You want to, when you're talking about your clients, you're going to talk about the success that they've made. So they're the hero. They did this with your help, right? You were the guide for them. So, our client so-and-so was able to sell this much of their product because of the video, because of the campaign that the video was a part of. When you start bragging on your client's success, they're going to see themselves in the shoes of your clients and say like, oh man, like, well, we need a sales video or we need a recruiting video. And they were able to, get a whole new workforce and work less because they had these videos going and wow, like you saved them, 400 hours. That's like, that equals a lot of money. When you make your clients the hero, it takes the focus off of you. It helps your clients see that, oh, okay, all right. If you could do that for me, that'd be amazing. Or if we could even get a fraction close to that, that would be amazing. All right, third and final one. Don't try to close all leads. I'm going to give you permission right now. You don't have to give somebody a quote when they're on a call with you. So just lose that feeling of like, okay, they need a price. So let's just start there. You don't have to get them to book. You don't have to send them a proposal, commit to sending them a proposal. You can say, hey, the point of this call is for me to figure out if we're a good fit, is for both of us to figure out if we're a good fit for each other. After this call, if it makes sense, I'll send you an estimate or a proposal or the next steps. So after this call, I'll let you know what the next steps are. So take the pressure off of yourself of feeling like you need to give them a quote, because usually if you're anything like me, you're like, yeah, $5,000. You say a number, you convince yourself that you need to say a lower number than you should so that you can keep the conversation going. And then you already know that it's probably going to be more than that, but like, let's get them kind of in the door. Let's get them locked into another meeting, or let's let them say like, oh yeah, please send me a proposal. And then the proposal ends up being like, twice that much. And then they're like, what the heck? When we were on the phone, you said it was only $5,000 and this is $10,000. And you're like, well, I spent more time with it. I thought a little bit more about it and realized that blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Instead of giving them that $5,000 quote, you say like, hey, let me, just to give you the closest, most accurate estimate, let me spend a little bit of time when we get off the phone to do that. So free yourself of feeling that pressure that you have to give, because I don't think you do. All leads that come in are not good leads. They're not good fits. If you're operating out of fear, you're going to feel like, I need to close this person. And then you're going to, start spewing out a bunch of things that just aren't going to be really helpful. But if you can come from a place of guiding, asking really good questions, trying to figure out, like, is this somebody I want to work with? And you're trying to be helpful in letting them know that, like, hey, my job here isn't to close you. I've even said that before. My goal is not to, like, convince you that we're the right fit. I'm going to try to ask you the kind of questions to figure out, can we help you? And I'm going to be honest, if, at the end of this phone call, I realize that we can't, I'm going to let you know that. And then, you can get on, you can meet with somebody else faster, instead of me saying, like, oh, let me get back to you. And then I get off the phone, like, knowing, like, no, we're not a good fit. I know we can't do that. Why didn't I just tell them when we're on the phone? So letting your leads know what's next, giving them a framework of, like, what happens after this call. And then, as silly and as simple as this might sound, know how you end the call. Like, you don't have to come up with a creative way every time you have a discovery call. You should know, like, hey, these are typically always the things that happen next. Either we're a good fit, we're not a good fit. If they are a good fit, then we're going to send them a proposal, or we're going to offer to do a workshop, or there's something else that you do. When you get to the very end of the call, it's like, okay, knowing you should hear back from me, you'll hear back from me within 2 days, within a day, within a week. And this is what we're going to talk about, or this is what I'm going to let you know when I reach out. You should have a rhythm and a pattern that can be repeated on each of your calls. That's the whole point in all of this, is having a plan with your sales, having a plan for your sales calls. We call them discovery calls. When you do that, you're going to instill confidence in your clients just by having a plan for the meeting. Whether it's a Zoom, whether it's a phone call or whatever, knowing that they feel like they're in good hands because you're like, oh, like he's got a rhythm. She's got a rhythm in how she does these calls. Like, okay, that's good. I don't have to come to the table with the agenda, which when I was just starting out, I would show up to a meeting and be like, okay, so tell me about your video. And then, like, after that, I'd just be like, wait for them to ask me questions. And then I thought I was just there to, to answer the questions. When I started asking the questions, totally different ballgame. So that is a roadmap, or a trail map, if you will, for how you can stop feeling like you've got to try to convince people to buy your video services, and how really you can start guiding, become helpful, ask helpful questions that get you closer to figuring out, can you serve this client? Can you help them? And then being honest and just saying, like, I don't think it's a good fit. I don't think, and you don't have to be mean. It doesn't have to come across like, oh, wow, like he's better. It doesn't have to be like that. But you can get so much of your time back, and you can really honor other people's time and their process of trying to find somebody that's a good fit for them. If you decide, you know what, I'm going to stop selling, I'm going to start guiding. I think if you apply these things, I think you're going to enjoy that process to where it's not going to feel like selling. It's just going to be like, man, like, I feel like I'm really being helpful here. And so when you land those jobs of people who feel like they were really served, even just on a discovery call, but as a part of your process, that's going to make you feel more fulfilled. It's going to build your confidence and make you feel like you could sell pretty much anything to anyone. Because for you, it doesn't feel like you're just trying to share your excitement, your passion, your belief for what you're able to do, and having a rhythm, having a process for how you do that is, for me, has been one of the best ways for me to be able to do that. Because otherwise, I applied my creativity. I thought that on my sales calls, I needed to be creative. People don't need me to be creative on my sales calls. They needed me to be creative in the videos that we make, in the creatives that we come up with. So don't make this work harder than it needs to be. Don't feel like you need to, well, in every aspect of our whole company, everything that we do, it's got to be creative. No, stick to the creative that you're really, really good at. And that's the thing that people need. Plus, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of frustration from, being on a phone call and trying to get creative. So if this was helpful for you, if you want more, I have a free download. The process that I've kind of laid out here, bits and pieces of it, is based off of something that I call the Ascend method. If you've followed Studio Sherpas for any amount of time, you know what the Ascend method is. You've heard about it, you've done it, you've applied it. I would love to hear from some of you who are using it, and it's been really helpful for your discovery calls. I've heard those stories throughout the years. Leave a comment under this video if you're using the Ascend method and how it's been helpful for you to land jobs, but also to figure out if it's not a job you should try and land. But I want to give you this free gift. I want to give you the Ascend method. It's the 6-part process for how we lead our discovery calls. You can go to studiosherpas.com/ascend, and you can get access to that download there. Just give me your email address, and I will give you the Ascend method cheat sheet. And this is still like the guts of the Ascend method. It's still the process that we use today. And I know a lot of other people in this community are using it. I would like for you to have it. Just go to studiosherpas.com/ascend, and you can get access to that cheat sheet. Don't forget, there are show notes, quick links, Donald Miller book, so good. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your big takeaway was from this episode. If this was helpful for you, I would love for you to share this with somebody else that it might help as well. We also have a free community on Facebook. If you go to studiosherpas.com/community, you can get forwarded to that Facebook group and meet a bunch of other people. Competition? Maybe. Community? Definitely. There are definitely people there that want you to succeed, including myself. So hop over there. You can follow us at Grow Your Video Business on Instagram, and I'm also at Ryan Coral. Reach out if you need anything else. I'm Ryan at studiosherpas.com. Have an amazing week. I look forward to talking to you very, very soon. Onward and upward, my friend. See ya.